Hi, scholars. Today I'm going to be reading for you Magda's Tortillas. And as I was looking through this book, I was so missing some of our great Spanish speaking scholars. So I'm sorry if I don't say some of the words correctly, because I'm sure if I had you guys with me, you'd be able to help me. So I'm really missing that you're not here helping me with some of these tricky words. I hope you enjoy it. Magda's Tortillas. Mira, Abula, look! Magda Madrigal had just washed her little hands, and now she presented them for inspection. It was time to get to work in Abula's kitchen. Magda fidgeted with excitement. Today she was 7 years old, and Abula Madrigal had promised her that on her birthday she'd be old enough for her first tortilla making lesson. Magda tried to imitate Abula's every move. She had even pinned her hair in a bun, just like her grandmother did. Magda flapped her apron and then tied it to reach behind her back and tied it on without looking. But she couldn't. Magda did not want to admit that she needed a little help, but finally she tugged silently at Abula's little finger. At the kitchen table, Abula took a ball of harina from the large mixing bowl and dropped it onto the cutting board. She poked it with her little finger to see how soft it was. Magda poked at it too. "Que fácil," she said to herself. It was softer than the clay she played with at school. Magda watched Abula make tortillas many, many times, ever since she was a little girl. So she felt that her first batch of tortillas would be perfect and round as Abula's always were. Abula looked at her granddaughter with a little smile. "Lista, Magda?" she asked. "Are you ready?" "Si, Abula, I'm ready," Magda said with eager nod. Abula put the first bolita of dough in the center of the cutting board. Magda made two tight fists and smushed the little ball flat. The dough felt soft and warm. Magda patted down the masa, grunting with effort. At last she stood back to see how her first tortilla looked. "Ay, mira!" sighed Abula with admiration. But Magda hung her head down. "Yucko, Abula," she said. "That's not a tortilla." "No es yucko, mi hijita. Look what you've made," Abula said proudly. "Un concorcito, a little heart." "What?" Magda said, blinking. Her head rose slowly, and she looked at her Abula with wide eyes. It was a little heart. "But it's not supposed to be a heart," she cried. "I want a round one, like you make." "Well then, try again, Andel." Abula sounded like Magda's mama when she gave orders at home. Magda took a deep breath. This time, she decided to use the rolling pin. Then she remembered that her Abula always dusted the pin. Magda reached for the fine white flour. "Un poquito," Abula suggested. "Just dust on it, like a bath powder." Magda closed her eyes tight. She pressed down on the ball of dough, up and down, side to side, up and down, side to side. Magda struggled with the rolling pin. She was determined to make the tortilla nice and flat and round. At last, she put the rolling pin down. How did her second tortilla look? Magda peeked down out of one eye and then out of the other. She crossed her arms and pressed her lips into a ball. They looked like a tiny ball of pink dough. "Abula, I give up," Magda blurted. She stomped out of the kitchen in a puff of flour. "But why? ¿Por qué, mi hijita?" Abula called to Magda's back. "Come, look at the star you've made. It's the Christmas star, La Estrella de Belén." Magda was already halfway down the hall, but she stopped. "What?" she whispered to herself. Back she scurried to see what Abula was talking about. Maybe Abula saw something Magda hadn't. The tortilla did have 5 points, just like a star. Suddenly, Magda realized this was no time to give up. Tortilla making wasn't as easy as she thought it would be, but it certainly was full of surprises. Magda took the rolling pin again and kept rolling the little balls of dough. After 6, 7, 8 balls, she had many different shapes. Magda longed for the perfectly round tortilla, but none was just like her abuela's. Magda made a heart, a Christmas star, and a banana. She even made a hexagon. At least that's what her older brother Eduardo called it, and he knew everything about geometry. She made a cloud, a football, and a flower. Abuela told Magda that one with its squiggly edges reminded her of Los Agos, the lakes near the hometown in Mexico. Alongside Magda, Abuela rolled out even more tortillas, enough for Magda's merenda, the afternoon snack time that would be given today in honor of the birthday girl. Abuela's rolling pin seemed to dance and jump up and down, back and forth with a bump, a thump, tum-ta-tump. Abuela didn't even watch what she was doing, and yet each tortilla came out the same, perfectly round. They were round as clocks, as round as car tires, as round as pizzas. Magda thought as she watched her abuela work. Each tortilla looked as if she had used a cookie cutter shape on it. How Magda wished she had something to make her tortillas too. Es todo, that's it, sighed Abuela at last. She rolled out her last perfectly round tortilla and headed for El Comal, the hot griddle on the stove. Soon, all the tortillas, Magda and Abuela's, were both freckled on each side with brown blisters, hot off the comal. Abuela asked Magda to call in the entire family to get ready for La Merenda. Meanwhile, she stacked her own round tortillas high on a plate. Then she put Magda's tortillas on her best party platter, and she placed it in the middle of the dinner table. But Magda wasn't eager to serve her tortillas. Everyone will laugh at the funny shapes, she thought. She hid behind her abuela, covering her ears and pressing her face into the big bow on abuela's apron. Even so, she heard a wild outburst. Magda's big brother, Eduardo, and her little brother, Gabriel, and her cousins, Karina, Marisol, Lucy, and Martine, were all shouting. Abuela jumped at the noise, and Magda pressed her hands even more tightly over her ears. Me first, I'm the oldest, she heard Eduardo say. No, me, squeaked Gabriel. I'm the littlest. He hung on the edge of the table, standing on his tiptoes. Well, I'm the hungriest, said Karina. Magda couldn't see what the fuss was about. She swallowed hard and slowly peeked around Abuela's elbow. Perrios los Ninos had not even noticed Abuela's plate. They were fighting over Magda's tortillas. Well, Maita, said Mommy, I know you have the best teacher, but you also have a special talent. My Magda is a tortilla artist. Sí, es cerito, Abuela agreed cheerfully. Mira, our Magda is very talented, said Tio Manuel. Magda had to see for herself. She stepped out from behind her abuela, dusted off her little hands, and took a long look at the platter with all its different shapes. A smile came to her face, and Magda beamed at her accomplishment. A tortilla artist, she said to herself. Sí, muy talentoso, boasted her papi. Tio Manuel grabbed his camera and quickly snapped a picture. Soon the tortillas would be buttered and gobbled up. But he would save the proud moment and Magda's one-of-a-kind tortillas for the family photo album. A second later, the children swarmed around Abuela, who was still blinking from the flash of the camera. Teach me, they all shouted. Ay, no lindos, Abuela replied sweetly, putting her hands to shush the children. Por qué? Why not, Abuela? Little Gabriel said. The room became quiet as the children waited for her answer. Abuela put her hands on Magda's shoulders before she spoke. Merin cutitos. I know how to mix the harina, and someday I'll show one of you, said Abula. Pero Magda is the artist. Only she can show you your secret. What an honor to hear such a compliment from her Abula, who made such perfectly round tortillas. Magda felt very special and very grown up. Thank you, Abula, Magda said. She pulled at her Abula's apron to get her to bend down. Tengo a secreto, she whispered. I have a secret. Magda, you can tell me, Abula coaxed. Magda put her arms around her Abula's neck. I don't care how many tortillas I make or how many shapes I create, she said. Your tortillas will always be my favorite. Mi tortilla favorita. I will never make them just the way you do. A little tear rolled into the deep lines of Abula's smiling cheek. Then Magda gave her grandmother un abrazo, a big hug. A moment later, Magda had another idea. She snuggled up a little closer to ask, Abula, when can you show me how to mix the dough? Abula chuckled. Mira, she said, how about if we do that next year, on your 8th birthday? Mi linda? Magda's face lit up. She could hardly wait. But first, Abula added, you need to make more tortillas for your merindo. They're nearly gone. Andel, Magda. See, Abula, said Magda. But what shapes do I make? Abula burst out laughing. Oh, mi linda, anything you like. It's in your hands now.